Oh, yeah. What's up, guys? This is CrossChat in the CrossPlay basement. We are...
More like Sex Dungeon.
More like the Sex Dungeon. It's the CrossPlay Sex Dungeon. You can't see the swing behind it. You can't see the swing behind the screen.
It's covered.
But I'm Kyle. This is AJ.
Hello.
We're going to be reviewing Uncharted 4 tonight.
More like just jerking its dick.
We're just going to be jerking it off.
So because there's going to be spoilers,
yes,
we're just going to let you know we like it, so you don't even have to watch the rest of it.
Really, we're just going to gush about the story a lot, so if you haven't played it, go finish it, and then come back, and then we can talk about it, and then we'll have
a one-sided conversation, because you can only talk back in the comments, which we'll completely ignore.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we've shown on all our other videos. we never answer them. Ever.
All of those questions that are just posted all the time. But Uncharted 4 came out. It's by Naughty Dog. If you didn't know that. I mean, it's probably at this point one of the most highly regarded and reviewed series and consistent series in gaming history. I mean,
really, even if one is not up to somebody's standards, it's still an amazing game and probably better than half the other games that came out that year.
Absolutely. Especially for presentation. But that actually is a good way to transition. I want to get all the negative shit out of the way first. Yeah. Because there is so much good shit to talk about, but there are some really things about the game. For me, the gameplay itself, I thought was okay at best.
I love the gunplay. I love the shooting.
Really?
That's not a negative to me.
No.
I love... Mainly because I'm really good at it.
Okay, I felt like I was fine
at Uncharted shooting.
I never felt a reason not to use the pistol. The pistol was so good in that game.
I use the pistol for flash. So like if I'm hanging off a ledge, like sometimes I'll just swing around on shit for fun just so I can shoot people.
Dude,
like
that whip when you're like running and you're like you got guys shooting, like the presentation, the way that the game feels when you're like running and stuff is so cool because like there would be times I'd jump off a cliff, throw my whip out,
play the Indiana Jones theme song in my head.
I did that a lot. Swinging, you jump, you fucking hit somebody. It's awesome. It's so visceral. But when you're walking around and like I'm just kind of almost more traditionally playing like as a more traditional third person shooter, I felt like the gunplay just felt a little weird and wonky to me. But that was only one of the few negatives I had and then also far too much climbing in the game.
Yeah.
Way too much climbing.
I mean, I know that going into it that there's going to be a lot of climbing, but then when I was playing it, I'm like, God, I don't remember this much climbing.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably just as much as any other one, but I always just push it out of my mind.
I got to go back and play Uncharted 2, but I don't feel like it was that much.
The puzzles weren't that bad.
The puzzles I thought were awesome.
They were really cool and they weren't too difficult because like with 2, I remember as much as I love that game, there's a couple puzzles that like I think I need to look up a guide or I really need to rack my brain as to how I did it.
Or they were just tedious.
Yeah, that too.
They were super tedious.
There's a lot of tedious ones, like that one where you have to climb on the god.
Oh, and you're in that big thing.
It's not a hard puzzle. It's just really stupidly difficult.
Yeah.
Or it's not difficult. It just takes a long time to do it. And it's just a kind of a pain in the butt. Whereas this one, it didn't have a lot of puzzles and they were all really cool.
They were all really cool. And they each had like a unique little thing to them. And then like if you were struggling on a puzzle, I felt like the game was really good at recognizing when you were starting to maybe struggle.
And it would be like, here's a hint.
Yeah. And like, but it wouldn't come up with like oh, hey, try this out. Just like Sam or Sully or Elena or whoever the characters were. Yeah, they'd be like, hey, what's this? Or like they'd be like, maybe we should check out over there. And he'd be like, okay. And then I walk over by him and they kind of lead me to where, and I'm like, oh, and then it clicks and you're like, yes.
That happened a lot to me when I just needed to figure out where to go next. It was never really like, the puzzles I never really had that much of an issue with because usually I could figure out what I needed to do. Sometimes I just didn't know how I was supposed to do it. But like there was a couple times where I'm like, oh, where the hell do I go? Like I go this way. Nope, can't go that way. Go, and then the little hint thing comes up and it's like go over there. I'm like, oh, it's covered up by like leaves or something.
Yeah, and that's one thing that this game I think does really differently than the other ones is that, and this is where I think it ties into Last of Us, like the Last of Us influence that Neil and Bruce had as being the directors of Last of Us and coming to this, is that the maps are far bigger. Like on the gameplay side, they're far wider.
Vehicle play and stuff, which was really cool.
Vehicle play, but then also like, just like as you're exploring the different areas, like the combat environments, you feel like you have way more options as how you want to approach it. But I think that's also because they put stealth as a more important option.
Stealth
in the game.
Was always very difficult.
It was
because trying to get the stealth trophy in Uncharted 2 was difficult, to say the least, because
definitely
the stealth mechanics weren't that good. They're there, but like once you're found, there's no escaping it. Like in 4, there is.
Yep, you can break contact and then just duck into
I mean, there's nowhere to really hide. Like one of the ones in particular is when you arrive at I wanted to call it Nanda Parbat or whatever from DC. But it's basically that, but like it was Tibet.
When you're Tibet, what is that called?
The monk place or whatever.
Where you meet,
before you get to Shambhala.
Yeah, and then like is it right before? Like you mean like before you meet the Yetis? Or
it's before you meet the Yetis when you come off that convoy and then you like arrive at that place. They're all guarding it, and it's leading to Shambhala. You're gonna get there soon after. Like that's a really good like area to do stealth because it's kind of can be a difficult shootout.
It really can.
It's not a very good. There's no good way to do it.
No.
Like you can climb around the edges, maybe pull like 3 guys down, like maybe get a couple kills, thin the herd a bit.
Something.
But you're eventually gonna like
and then it's just you're kind of flying around
and there's no silenced weapons. And I don't think 4 does either. I mean there might be 1 or 2, but I never found them.
But I don't think it's necessary because like all of the stealth kills you can do, they give you more options for stealth kills.
Yeah.
You know, like and I feel like it was really good. Like I never felt like I was hindered in the stealth wise. Like if I saw a guy, he was outside of the tall grass and I was like crouching right next to him and I'd go to get him, I'd grab him and then Nate would just instinctively pull him into the grass to hide.
Which is nice.
I didn't feel like I was doing anything. Maybe because I was just instinctually pulling back on the stick, it was doing it, but it felt like it was just doing it because it knew that that's what I wanted to do. You know, like, and that's what's so cool about this game is that it does such a good job of presenting the game. You know, like the game, like while I have some issues with the gunplay and the climbing being a little tedious, the presentation of the game, I've been telling people this is the most movie and filmic experience I've ever had playing a game. And that's with Until Dawn being an awesome game, and like those choice-based games, those Telltale style games where you make choices and it's all narrative. Those are supposed to, they're all great. And I know
quick
that
review for it, play it.
Awesome. But while those are supposed to be kind of filmic experiences, they slow down and they stutter because
the
making
real
choices.
film experience is Metal Gear 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing.
Those long cutscenes.
And we're gonna go. Let's just go straight into the end of the game then, like for Uncharted 4,
because of the connection.
Because of the connection there, like Uncharted 4. Yeah, big spoiler alert here, by the way.
For a really old game.
Metal Gear Solid 4
Metal Gear and
Uncharted 4,
Uncharted, which is a new.
We're gonna talk about the epilogue.
Big
and stuff.
Spoilers. Okay.
And so Uncharted 4 and Metal Gear Solid 4's endings are very, I think, similar in the sense that they both wrap each other up. They wrap the series up very well.
Starting with the boss fight.
Yes.
Like, let's be real. So in 4, Metal Gear 4, they're both 4.
Yeah, they're both 4s. We got to be careful.
Metal Gear 4, when you're fighting Ocelot, it's very nostalgic because it goes through the different it changes the graphics, the character models and stuff, and it plays the different theme songs of every game.
I got chill. I'm getting chills thinking about it. I mean,
when it does this, when it goes to because Metal Gear 3 was my first Metal Gear, and when it goes to Metal Gear 3 and then it starts playing Snake Eater. Oh my god, I love that song. It chills hardcore. And then it's just one of the coolest boss fights ever. Like it's just so cool the way it's cinematic and everything.
Well, that whole sequence on that carrier is so incredibly cinematic, and it ties the series up.
Right. And then segueing into Uncharted 4 is when you go into the burning ship. Much like Goonies. That felt so Goonies, too.
It did.
When you fucking... It's like, oh my god, it's the ship. I can't even think of the guy's name.
Avery. Henry Avery.
In Goonies.
In Goonies? I don't know.
I can't remember. I feel
like when you're dropping into that canyon,
it feels like Goonies.
I'm like, oh man, that's the ship. That's the ship. You know, like, I felt like this was like one of the best treasure hunts I've ever experienced. Oh my god, it was, you know, like...
And one, I gotta praise them for not putting... supernatural elements in.
There are no supernatural elements.
I was expecting it the whole game because when you show up to Libertalia and everyone's like gone, I'm like, oh, this is where the supernatural bits,
Yep.
like zombies or some shit.
Yeah, but no,
Nothing.
it's so
It was
grounded.
just a straight up pirate story.
Yep.
And that was awesome. Because not that I don't like the supernatural element, but it really brings you out of it.
It really does.
Whereas this
it really
felt
does.
more plausible because
and
it was a pirate story.
The supernatural elements I think is a holdover from the inspiration for the game being Indiana Jones.
Right.
And so this one being so much more grounded, I think is incredibly telling of the story they wanted to tell.
Right.
You know, and like this, so much of this story isn't Nate's story. You know, like it is, but it's also Sam's
It's more
story.
Sam's because Nate doesn't want to be there.
He doesn't. He's only
the first
there
time
for
he
Sam.
just doesn't want, like, he's lost the drive. He doesn't want to do this anymore. He just wants to have a normal
adventure.
life. But he misses the adventure.
Yeah.
But like going back to we're getting really off track. So going back, so you find the ship and you go inside and then you find Sam pinned to the ground. And I'm like, oh my God. No.
I thought that was it. I was like, Sam's dead. Oh no.
Yeah, I thought like this is gonna, oh no. And then fucking Rafe comes out with his like messed up hair and I'm like, oh, what's this prick doing? And then he's like fucking around with you. He's like, I'm still entitled, blah blah blah, white privilege, blah blah blah.
Absolutely.
He just keeps going on and then like his motivations were interesting because they were realistic and they made sense.
Definitely.
But he just sounds like such a whiner. But
He
he's
does.
still cool. Like I liked him probably more than Lazarevich.
I think he's probably the best villain in the series.
Well, he's more relatable for one,
and he had a clear motivation.
Yeah, it was like the other ones. I'm still not really sure why. Lazarevich just wanted power, so he wanted the Chintamani stone. But like
Rafe wanted
interesting
to make his own fortune. Like he wanted because
Drake's fortune.
Yeah, like he had inherited all that wealth and nobody thought that he was anybody.
For himself.
Yeah, and so he wanted to be a somebody. And like when you're fighting him and he's like the great Nathan Drake, and I'm just like that. I'm like Nate's a legend.
And if you think about it, Nate could have become Rafe.
He could have.
Like that's I think what's also cool about it is if he was a little if his outlook was a little different, he could have easily became Rafe.
Yeah,
and that's like I never really thought about that until now. But that
I never thought about that now too either. Yeah,
but then when Rafe picks up that fucking sword, I'm like, we're gonna sword fight
in a burning pirate ship. Well, there's gold like just to the ceiling, and there's like gold hanging from nets in the air. You know, like it's like what the hell? You know,
foreshadowing,
like, right? Absolutely. But then like you go from that and like everything
felt
works out.
It felt like when I was doing that fight, it reminded me of Metal Gear. I'm playing it, and like I think there's the music in the background, and then he's going through all of your conquests, and it was bringing me through the games like full circle. It's like you found the El Dorado, you found the Lost City, you found the Shambhala,
pillars, and
blah blah blah, and then you're realizing yes, Nate is a legend, as you said, and like it's just bringing you through all the games. Like in a different way, that made more sense for Uncharted than for like Metal Gear. And it was so cinematic. I died a lot during it. That's because I was on hard mode, and like just like 2 hits were just enough.
I felt like telegraphing like which side he was going to hit. I was like,
sometimes he was coming from the left, and I would hit right, and it would still work.
Exactly.
So it was very weird, but it was still awesome.
It was. Like it felt so cinematic.
Yeah,
and that goes back to the presentation of the game.
Yeah,
like everything you do. It feels like a movie. Like
the most movie scene out of there is probably my favorite scene of any Uncharted game is when Sam is on a motorcycle running from the convoy from Shoreline. That's their name, right?
Shoreline. And this is also the E3 footage that they showed.
Like sizzler reel. But did they show this part of it?
They showed the demo of it. Like they showed the whole thing.
And I know they showed the beginning. I just didn't remember if they showed
they showed the whole thing from the minute you get out of the tower after doing that to when you get on the whip.
That's where they stop it.
That's where they stop.
Yeah, see, like the part after that is what I love the most.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
when you get onto the convoy and you're hanging there with your fucking grappling hook and you're shooting the guys with your pistol.
So cool.
Like
so
that's
cool.
So awesome.
Like and like the way that it's almost like a quick time event, but it's all like they don't show it. Like you just see, I can shoot that, so you just do it, and then like that's like as you like get off of the truck, the truck careens into the water, and you're like just hanging on over the bridge over the water, just like oh my god, like hanging on for dear life, and then you bang into that. into that. Yeah, like you bang into the like that fixture, and then like you keep going, and then you're dragging on the ground, and you start leaping from car to car, like tossing people out.
You take control of the Jeeps, and you start ramming people, run them off the road.
And meanwhile, none of this is a cutscene. Yeah, everything you're doing is you.
And it's not like, you know, going to like a Resident Evil 4 where a QuickTime event, you have to, it's like hit A, hit B, hit C. None of that's telegraphed. It's all just kind of, you're just doing. You have to figure it out.
You're using the controls that you know. You know that you hit triangle to do this. You know,
and they're just kind of setting it up for you. It's like, okay, here's a Jeep. Probably gonna want to jump on that.
Mm-hmm. And like you see it just naturally based on where enemies are. Like that's what's so cool about the design there is that like the way enemies come at you and the way that the game presents itself, it kind of shows you where you're supposed to look next.
Yeah.
And that's all part of like it's so masterfully done, you know? And then you get you get to the epilogue then and it's just like it's like after everything that you've just done, you get to the epilogue and it's just it's a happy ending, you know, and it's you've gone through all of that strife and crazy and like
because what matters most to me about Uncharted is Elena and Drake.
Absolutely,
their relationship.
How fucking pissed were you when he lied to Elena?
When he started lying, I was like, "What's wrong with you?"
I was mad at
Nate.
I was like,
chick. She plays Crash Bandicoot.
Right?
She's cool.
That moment.
Like, if you would have said my dead brother that I never told you about is all of a sudden
alive,
back, and we need to find Captain Avery's treasure or else a fucking drug lord is going to execute him. Mm-hmm. I think she would have understood and helped out. How many times has she helped you find all your... Oh, wait. She was in every fucking game.
Yep.
And she's helped you find all of your greatest achievements.
Definitely.
She helped you find El Dorado. She helped you find Shambhala. And she helped you find the lost city of whatever the fuck. I don't remember anything.
Somewhere in Ireland,
3. Something like that.
Yeah, it was like Iraq or something.
Yeah, like... She was always there. And you know who else should have been there? This is my biggest complaint. Chloe Fraser wasn't in the fucking game.
Really? You
I love Chloe.
I didn't miss Chloe at all.
I loved her because she was awesome and she was voiced by Claudia Black. That was mainly like, she just had an awesome voice and she was a fun character. I don't like Drake dating her. Mm-hmm. Like, because you know, Elena makes more sense.
Definitely.
But I liked her as a side character, as like a Sully, like hanging out with her and helping you with shit was cool.
Chloe represented a period in Nate's life that he was no longer in at the time of Uncharted 4.
True.
Chloe is when he is almost like that, like Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones type.
But she was in 2 and 3. She was in 2 of the games.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
And like he brings Sully into it. So I'm like, well, why not bring a little extra help? Why not bring Chloe into it?
I could have used more Sully too.
I would honestly. I just really wanted a cameo, just a little
bit something.
I mean, it would have just been nice.
I think you can see her picture when you're in the attic scene. In the attic part,
sure. She's in the multiplayer too.
See her. Oh, she is. Oh, cool.
So I play as Chloe a lot.
Is her new model like really, really good? Like, does she look really great? Cool.
Like, I just she was a character I always thought was kind of cool. So I was disappointed that she wasn't in it.
I get you.
But that's just that's really a small gripe.
I was always way more invested in Elena. Like,
I mean, she's a better character, for sure.
Like Elena was like Elena and Nate's relationship was the grounding foundation for the game, like through all of the games. And
over what, 10 years?
Is that how long they've been working on that?
I remember reading something that was like 10 years. Made me feel really old.
Oh, and then like one of the other things that I loved about their relationship and the way the game worked is that you like when you're playing a game or watching a movie and they two characters interact and they're having an issue and they're like, we'll talk about this later. Bye. You know, and like you go out and like 2 hours later after you've struggled through a level, like you finally get the conclusion, you get that conversation that you've wanted them to have this whole time. No, they didn't do that. They were like, we'll talk about it later. And then 5 minutes later, after you did one thing, he turns to her and goes, we need to talk about this now. But I think that's important because it shows that Nate's not as invested in this adventure for himself. He's there.
He even kind of, he shows that a couple times, especially towards the end, especially when he's like, we gotta go. And then Sam turns into Drake. Because in every game, they're like, let's leave. We don't need to stop Lazarevich. This isn't our problem. Let's go. And Nate's like, no, we're this close.
Yeah.
We can stop him and we can save, the world, whatever. We got this. And that's so close. And then that's Sam.
Yeah.
Nate's just like, fuck this shit.
Right?
I'm done. I've almost died. We've all almost died. I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. I've had enough. I don't need this. I don't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam's like, and then that point where you're here on the other side of between the two buildings or whatever, and then Sam gets stuck. And he's like, don't do it. And then Sam's like, I got to. I have to do it. I'm like, he's fucking Nate now.
Yeah,
he is Nate.
Because he's been in jail. He never got to do any of that stuff. Like, he never had his adventure.
Like, this is his Shambhala, his El Dorado. Because I think part of it, too, is he's a little probably jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's had all these adventures while he was in prison.
He's discovered all these amazing things.
Yeah, and he just wants to have his own.
Yeah.
And then
his little brother beat him to it, Like,
yeah.
And I think Nate sees that, and which is why he's more willing to help him. But then there's the whole drug lord thing.
Oh, yeah, where he lied.
And then, like, I did not see that coming at all.
I didn't see the specifics of it.
Okay.
But as soon as he showed up, I felt something was off.
I thought he was going to betray
really
us.
Sketchy. Like, I didn't know what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew something was wrong. He was lying about something.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I didn't call the exact situation, but I knew he was lying. Alcazar.
It's Alcazar. Yeah, I bought that Alcazar story.
That was cool when you got to play through the prison break.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. Which is like really cool. And you're like, Alcazar. And that story he spun about Alcazar, I bought into, and I didn't trust him. I had the same feeling of distrust with him, but I thought maybe it was because he was still working with Alcazar a little bit more closely, or that he was going to screw us over and Alcazar and then like disappear. But then Sam's he lied to us, but he didn't do it maliciously, and that's what I liked about it. He still
could have told the truth though, because really, I mean, it was just Rafe. Like, it's not like it's some other... Like, how is that any
Nate
worse?
Nate knows Rafe.
Yeah, like, how is it any worse than Alcazar? Like, that I thought was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then it almost gets them killed when they're on the...
Yeah.
falls off of a fucking cliff.
Well, and like...
I don't know how he survived that, honestly.
Right.
That was a little like...
How did Elena find him?
Yeah, I mean...
like...
She just happened to be walking by as he was floating down the street.
Was she just stalking him?
Which he probably would have drowned in. He hit his head... And let's say he somehow survives that fall, which he wouldn't have in real life. He would have fallen in the river. Most likely would have been face down, or he would have been face up, but there would have been water. He probably would drown. I don't know how that happened, but I'm willing to look over it.
Definitely.
But yeah, that whole bit when that happened, I was like,
yeah, no, but
after everything else, like him falling down a clock tower and all this other shit, that's where I was.
That's where you drew the line.
I don't know about that.
Waterfalls. That's a little too much.
Hanging from a rope, being dragged along the ground.
Right.
And, like, I was like, oh, this is cool.
But that's okay.
Falls off a cliff. I'm like,
Nate's hands are made of literal diamond and steel, so it's fine.
Well, they must be. I mean, the way he holds onto like those ropes.
Like, how does he manage to find those like hand places? Like, these are like the boobs of the cliffs. And like, how does he manage to like leap? Like,
I get nervous when I do those.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it.
But like, he's going to like latch onto it. But it's like, if you were a real dude and you were like,
I couldn't have done that. I'd be so dead.
Swinging from a rope, jumping off of it, like not only retracting the rope back to your belt, by the way, midair.
I don't know how that works.
And then grabbing like little cracks in a cliff and holding up what you'd have to assume is like a 200-pound body. Like, Nate's a built dude. Like, he's not fat. Like, he's not fat. He's not like muscular, but he's a built, healthy dude. Like, you figure about 200 pounds at least. On his fingertips sometimes. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, how do you hold yourself up?
Yeah,
but then so like Elena finds you, and then you go through the whole game. We get to that burning,
and then there's that beautiful part in the Jeep where they're playing the music, and you just get to look at how beautiful the game is.
Absolutely, when you're on that vista,
was like probably one of the coolest. Oh, it's so beautiful! Like,
absolutely,
they're playing like the Uncharted theme in the back, like softly as they're just taking this nice little quiet Jeep ride through this beautiful little area right before shit gets real again.
Gets really real.
That was awesome. That was such a nice little.
Well, that's the pacing of the game being so perfect. Like, the minute you think, like, the minute you're getting bored of something, boom, cut to something crazy.
Exactly.
Like you take that jump that you're like, oh, I'm just making another jump to the next ledge. But then all of a sudden, cut, you see it from the other side. You see Nate land, and then all of a sudden he slips, and then you're like, somebody catches him, and like, little cutscene happens.
Yeah.
It's just happens so naturally. And then all of a sudden you're in the cutscene, and then boom, you're back in the game. And it's just like, the minute you start to get bored of the climbing, something happens. The minute you start to get bored of the gunplay, something happens. And like, it changes the pace of it. Something, you go here, you go there, you do this. And then all of a sudden, Like you just lose track of the time, you know, because the story moves so fast, and it's still like a 6-7 hour game at least, you know.
So I'm like that.
And,
I think mine was
that's
probably closer to 10 because I played on hard.
Yeah, and that's if you don't look for treasures and stuff. Like there's tons of stuff to explore.
I found quite a few. I don't remember how many.
I didn't find many.
I found a lot, but that's because it's like almost instinct for me because of finding them all in Uncharted 2. Sometimes I'll be going I'll just be exploring. I'm like, well, I think this is where I'm supposed to go. And I'm like, oh, dead end. Oh, a treasure.
Oh, there it is.
Like that happened to me a lot. One thing I wanted to say, because we were talking about like the influences from Last of Us.
Yeah.
Libertalia felt very influenced by The Last of Us. Like
you could have ripped that straight out of Last
all
of Us.
The green like mossiness. Libertalia was really cool.
Super.
That was probably one of Shambhala is probably my favorite, just because that was really just a cool place.
It was way bigger too.
Yeah, but Libertalia was really neat, and the whole lore of the town was probably that was the most into the lore I ever got.
Absolutely,
and with those notes and stuff. I was so interested in what happened to those pirates, and their civil war and shit. That was so cool.
I like that moment when you walk into the room and it's the table of all the pirate lords, and you're just like, holy shit, and they're all skeletons, and then you realize that the 2 at the end are missing, and you're like, oh, he poisoned them all. Oh my god. And you see Nate have that realization, he gives the toast, and you're just like, yes, like this is what I want. Like that was one of the coolest scenes in the game.
That was awesome.
And then that whole background of the pirate civil war and like the proletariat underlings being manipulated by all the pirates to fight each other and fight just to get that treasure.
That whole game gave me a pirate heart on.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to watch Goonies 7 times. I was ready for more pirate. Because it was
you popped in Pirates of the Caribbean. Nah.
It's all right.
It's okay.
But it was so I love that whole pirate treasure thing. So I wasn't sure if I'd like it as an Uncharted game, but they fucking nailed it.
They really did.
They nailed the pirate story. That's probably my favorite pirate story ever.
It might be.
That was so cool.
The last thing I really want to touch on though is the epilogue. I really want to talk about that because the way the epilogue wrapped everything up. I know everyone's talking about how the epilogue because in the epilogue you play as Nate and Elena's daughter, and
what's her name? I don't remember. See something.
I don't remember. But you wake up and it's her, and you almost get a Last of Us vibe again from the beginning of the game when you wake up as Joel's daughter and you're wandering through the house.
Yeah, and thinking about it. Yeah,
I was playing with
Since I just started Last of Us again.
I was playing with Nicole, my girlfriend, in the room as I got to that point.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Not
friend
by
of
choice.
By association. But I got to that point and she was looking at it and I was wandering around and when you're wandering through the house and nobody's there and she's calling out to Nate and Elena, Mom, Dad, just like the daughter from Last of Us.
And when that was happening, I'm like, oh my God, I bet she doesn't know about Drake. And then it's going to be her parents, I guess. And I was like, oh, are we going to find it? Are we going to that was the coolest part it was that one last bit of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
It was
her discovering her parents' history.
Yeah.
And
when you open the treasure trove, that dresser, and it's got the Chintamani resin.
Yep.
It's got
the skull.
What's the skull from? I couldn't remember.
I want to say Golden Abyss.
Oh, see, I didn't play that.
I think I didn't play that one either
because I don't have.
I didn't recognize it specifically from 1, 2, or 3, but they referenced that earlier in the game, and then because you see the skull in the attic.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
they had the other relics. I recognize
all the other you see the journals. And then when
that was cool. They had Sir Francis Drake's journal with the bullet in it.
Definitely,
that was so awesome. And then and then she finds the book, the Mother's Journal.
The Mother's Journal, what started it all.
The whole Avery treasure in it. And then she starts reading about it, and then
she had no idea.
And she finds the picture with Sully, Elena, and Drake in it
with the shotgun and from
and
the
she's
first game.
You have a gun? What's going on? And then Elena and Drake walk in, and then they start talking.
And they're
I say Elena and Drake, but it's really Elena and Nathan because they're both Drakes.
Right.
Now.
Now they are.
But and then she just asks them about it, and then they start to tell her their story.
They're like, hey, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go out in the water and let's just talk.
And shoot the shit.
And because throughout that experience of like walking through their family home, you go up to like their fridge and like
starting with some Crash Bandicoot because you got to play some more of that.
Yes, you can go back to that and
almost beat that damn high score.
Did you really?
I was close.
Oh, I didn't. I did better. I finished the course. I didn't finish it the first time, but like, and you go and you see all those notes on the fridge, like the Post-it notes, and like you see her and Sully's like tally marks for when they're playing. What they were playing. I
don't know if I saw this.
Shit.
That's the thing too. Is there's a lot of stuff I think I missed.
Oh, because that house is, you can go to every room filled. And it's packed full of shit.
And I didn't like. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of check some rooms, and I don't really know where I'm supposed to go.
And like, just because I wanted to see it, because I wanted to see what happened to Nate and Elena after the adventures. You know, like they stop adventuring, and they in the end of the game they get this like almost like a legal treasure trove company where they go in and they do dives for like artifacts and stuff, and they've discovered all this stuff. And I just wanted to see what did their lives become when they decided to not be normal, but like just kind of stop doing the really extreme stuff and have a daughter
dying all the time.
Yeah, and like I realize I love those characters as if they are like almost as if they're real people, you know. Like I feel like I know them so well.
It's really the most attached I've ever been to. It's like video game characters.
And I was so happy that they had a kid, and I was like, and then you get to the end, and they're just like,
she could become an adventurer too.
Sam and Sully are out; they do their adventures, you know.
Maybe
and
with
like
Chloe,
maybe with Chloe,
make a game where I can be Chloe. I'd play that game.
And that's why people have been talking that maybe they're handing it off, and I think they did set it up in a way that like if down
Sony
the run,
wants money,
yeah, like they could do another one, but I really hope they don't.
Glass in case of emergency.
No.
I mean, the thing is, as long as they never put Nathan and Elena in it, as long as they don't hurt the ending, because something like, I love the TV show 24. They ended it. It was done. It was a fine ending.
And then they brought it back. Season.
And then the season was okay, but then the last episode, he gets like fucking captured by the Russians and shit. And then it just ends.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, like they just ruined it. Don't bring it back and ruin it. Like that's what that's the one thing I don't want to happen to Uncharted. I don't want them to bring it back and then ruin it.
I
want this to be it.
Satisfied.
That was I think that's the only time I've ever been fully satisfied with the ending of a series.
I put it down and I was like, that might have been one of the best experiences I've ever had playing a game. You know, like it's just true. And like, and this has been a half hour of us just jerking off the game. But that's what it is.
It's a masterpiece.
It's
in my eyes.
Absolutely.
It's a masterpiece.
Absolutely. And like I don't know if I'll ever play a game that like looks so good, feels so good. Like, I mean, I've played games that gaming wise are better. Like I've played better playing games, but I've never had a game that has sucked me in so tremendously that all I wanted to do was just exist by those characters. Like that's all I cared about was just those characters and wanting to know more about them and wanting to just hear them talk. Like the moments when they're just talking to each other. Like those.
Oh, those are great. I stop moments. What I'm doing and I just listen to their little conversations sometimes.
Like, and I mean, as of right now, this is the game of the year. You know, like hands down.
Honestly, I don't even see that it not being the game of the year because
what else is coming out that could beat it?
Nothing that I care about.
There'll be better games that play better that come out.
Something might surprise me, maybe. But from a cinematic standpoint,
emotional standpoint,
I just don't see that happening.
Not at all.
But I mean, time will tell, and we'll probably let you know
for sure
with our little cross chats.
Definitely, because let us know, by the way, what you thought of the game and what your experiences were with the story and how they affected you and what you thought of it as you were going through it. I'd be really curious to know what those are, and maybe we'll read some of them on the next episode.
And if you have any comments to make about the way we do this segment, if you think they're too long, if you think they're not long enough,
let us know.
Whatever you think needs to be said, go right ahead, because we'll read it.
Definitely.
We have nothing better to do. we make video game videos for the internet.
Yeah,
we clearly don't have anything better to do.
That's true. I mean, it's and like all we're gonna do after this is go behind this curtain and use the swing. So
yeah,
like that's, I mean,
swing time.
Swing.
Maybe that'll be a segment.
Just the swing.
Swing time.
Swing time. But yeah, I think next week we're thinking Overwatch. I think is the one that we're thinking about.
I'm thinking
because it's the new hotness. So
it's a hot game.
It's a hot game. Everyone's talking
so
about
hot right now, in the words
So
of Mugatu. So hot right now.
But yeah, let us know what you thought. And leave us a comment on what you thought on Overwatch too for next week. So thank you. This was CrossChat. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe.
Bang that like and subscribe button.
But
maybe go down on it too. You know, show some loving. Finger bang, go down on it.
What could you change your cursor to be like a tongue?
Oh, I'm sure you could.
Just like,
viewers, change your cursor to a tongue. Give that like button some love.
Do it.
That subscribe button some love. Give our name a little love. Just rub the tongue over our name. We'll appreciate it. Or make it a little penis. That's cool too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is a long outro.
What do we do? We're just kind of rambling. This was CrossChat. Thank you so much. Bye.
Fuck bitches, get money.
Fuck bitches, get money.